Hey. I'm here. I'm back. I'm back. So come on in the room. I'm like a minute too late. 7:03. Come in the room. Come in the room. Tag a friend when you get here. Today we're going to talk about bullying. Especially with the Kanika Jenkins out of Chicago story. I think it's very important that we talk about bullying today. So come on in the room. I had problems with my connection. And when you get here, let me know you're here. Let's see. I think it looks like I'm good. For some reason, my connection was a little bad. So I had to stop the last broadcast and start this one. That is called imperfect action at its finest. So we will get started in about 2 minutes. We're going to be talking about 5 ways to know if your kid is being bullied. So 5 ways. And of course, I love you guys, so I'm going to give you some bonuses to add in there as well. So we're going to talk about bullying. 5 ways to know if your kid is being bullied, and the Dr. Kre Me show. So what number 1 is... Hey there, who's here? The first person is here. Let me know who you are. Hey David, how you doing today? Can you hear me okay? My connection was bad, so I had to log off and come back. So let me know if you can hear me okay before I get started. Okay, doing right. Okay, gotcha. So I got on about 7:03 because when I got ready to get started, it was like, oh, loud and clear. Good. Okay. So it was like searching for a connection. So you know who I am, David. I am Dr. Kre. I'm a board certified family medicine physician. I specialize in what's important to you through my coaching, my tips, and my education. I help you live a better you, a healthier you, a stronger you. So when you know more, you actually do better. So we're gonna get started today. We're gonna talk about 5 ways to tell if your kid is being bullied. Hey Tanya, thanks for coming. So number 1 is if your kid is all of a sudden having problems with sleep. Tanya, can you or David type in number 1 would be if they're having problems with sleep. If all of a sudden they're having problems falling asleep, they're having problems staying asleep. When your kid used to be able to sleep all night and you were having to like wake them up. The alarm is going off and you're having to wake them up. However, if they're having problems with sleep, and even if they're starting to have frequent nightmares, know that this could be a sign of them being bullied. Number 2 is them having unexplained injuries. I watched an episode, I binge watch on the weekends. So I watched the episode of Greenleaf, and the girl, I can't think of her name, the girl on there is in a relationship with this guy. And he was, he's real rough with her, more verbal bullying than anything. So she ended up having her seatbelt on wrong, and he slammed on brakes. And she ended up hitting her head on the windshield. So when she got home from school that evening, she ran straight up the steps. Mom and Dad was like, hey, what's up? How are you doing? Come on in the room. Hey, Michelle, how you doing? So when you get here, just drop your name in the comments or say hey so I can speak to you and thank you for coming. But anyway, so it was to me a clear case that, hey, you know that this person isn't treating you right. So she ran upstairs and put some concealer over her face where she had this large kind of, red lump. So if they have unexplained injuries, that's number 2 that you need to be concerned that they're being bullied. Is it by a friend? Is it by a boyfriend? Is it by a girlfriend? So you have to be starting to watch them, watch their body language. If it's the dead of summer and they're wearing a turtleneck and long sleeves, that's, my friend, is a problem. So those are the first 2 things. Having problems with sleep, that means sleeping too little, frequent nightmares, and if they have unexplained injuries, especially on their face, black eyes, anything. So make sure you're watching your kids when they come in. Watch for changes in their body language, you know, especially during the middle school years, when they're kind of during that awkward stage where they're like, okay, they're, you know, lanky and growing faster than they can control themselves. They're getting their teeth in and all, you know, just growing into their mouth. I feel like, you know, 7th, 8th, 9th grade can be very, very, very hard because they're changing so much. So somebody type number 2, unexplained injuries. Number 3, they keep losing items. Like the best, you got them the best iPhone. I hope you're not buying them the iPhone 8 or the iPhone X for $1,000. But they have, you know, your kid loves electronics, but they can't find all of a sudden their iPhone, their iPod, their iPad, what else kids have? Their Kindle. If all of these things are starting to come up missing, then that's a problem. Either they're selling, they are tricking you into selling, into buying them something so they can turn around and sell it to buy something else. But likely it could be a sign that your kid is being bullied, because they're bullying them and saying that if you don't, you seen on TV where they're like, oh my goodness, here comes the bully. He like, give me your apple, or give me your sandwich at lunch. It could be the same thing nowadays, and it could be very well more so the electronics. Oh, I like that. And kids are so smart today and so electronically savvy that they know how to fix it and make it their own. And you're like, well, that was my iPad, but they erased all the memory. And now it's actually their iPad. So number 3 is lost items. That could be electronics. That could be books. That could be jewelry. They got a nice fancy watch or Apple Watch. You know, things that kids can have nowadays, and they're taking it, and they're afraid that they're going to keep from being beat up, to keep from being singled out, to keep from being laughed at. They're just like, okay, you can have my lunch. Here, take my iPad, take my iPhone, take whatever, just leave me alone. So number 1 is issues with sleep. Number 2 is unexplained injuries. Number 3, they losing items. And significant items that may be very dear to them that you know good and well your child should not be losing. Number 4 is that your kid is like, I'm sick. I got a stomach ache. I had a headache. You know good and well that you should be fine. Last night when you got home, you were fine. You didn't have a fever then. You didn't have this. You didn't have that. But this morning, all of a sudden, it's time to go to school. And you're like, I don't feel good. They're like, I don't feel good. They're fake sick, or putting the thermometer under the lamp, you know, trying to make it be something more than it is. So it's something faking, and make sure Tanya, that you put on there faking. Yeah, thank you, David. Faking an illness, because they're not necessarily sick. They just want to do whatever they can to keep from going to school. Is tomorrow Punch a Bullet in the Nose Day? Right? I've never heard of that day. I hope it's not. We're gonna talk about the flip end of that as well. Hey Mark, thanks for joining in. So number 1 is if your kid's having problems with sleep. Number 2, unexplained injuries. Number 3, they keep losing items. 4, they're faking sick. Anything they can do to get out of going to school. And number 5, they're acting more withdrawn. They're not like your normal confident teenager or confident tween. They are more like just wanting to stay in their room all the time, just kind of more isolated. These are all signs that, yes, your child could be being bullied. Self-esteem is low, not really wanting to get out and do things like they usually do. Start really paying attention to them. Make sure that you know who your kids' friends are, who they consider their friends. Because a lot of times during middle school and that age, the people that they consider their friends are not necessarily their friends. You know, they may be their friends, but it's not. If they got a big old group of friends, making sure you're paying attention to who they're with, the characteristics of their friends, characteristics of the friend's family, all of that kind of goes into play. Because if a kid is being a bully, then there's something going on in its background that's causing them to want to come to school and act out. So, number 1, issues with sleep. 2, unexplained injuries. 3, loss of items. 4, feeling sick all the time or faking sick so that they don't have to go to school. And number 5, feeling more withdrawn. So, you know, we're all about bonuses on Dr. Kre Me. So, how can you tell if your child is actually being the bully? So that's important to know as well, because you need to be able to hone in on that to kind of rein that child back in. You say, okay, that is not what we don't do that. We're not going to be bullying people or make people feel smaller. So number one, they hang with bullies. So if you may find that all of the big kids hang together, or especially in middle school, the ones that are bigger than the others, they are more popular, they can have those kind of little stereotypes to go along with them. So if your kids' friends are bullying, hey Pam, if your kids' friends are bullies, then be mindful of that. And kind of sit down and say, well, what's drawing you to, Sally? Because I know that Sally kind of gets in trouble a lot, or Sally is all over, over the place. So just kind of see what's going on, why that they chose Sally as a friend. Hey Ray, thanks for joining. Oh yeah, find the items that are theirs. Okay, you got it. Thank you. So number two is your child is getting in frequent fights. So it's usually rare that the child that's kind of staying in their lane, going to class, getting their lesson, going home, they're usually not in a whole bunch of fights. I remember being in one fight when I was in middle school. I was in middle school, and of all the places, y'all, my dad worked at the middle school. I went to school with one of my parents all my life. My mom went to elementary with me. My dad was at middle school, and my mom, by the time I got to high school, she was at high school too. She was a teacher there. So this girl was bullying me, and I always was the kid that it was like, look at you. You think you all that. You just think you something because your dad, is that traumatic that our parents went to school with us all year long. Hey, Angelica. So all of that, like, you think you this and you think you so much because you think you smart because your mama work here and your daddy work here. And the girl pushed me, was in a girl's locker room. And I remember I couldn't fight. I didn't know nothing about fighting. So she went to go and try and push me, and I picked up a shoe and hauled off and threw the shoe at her. So needless to say, she left me alone. And I never was in a fight kind of situation again. But, hey, KJ. But it pushed me to have to kind of feel like I had to defend myself, which is the place that you never want your kids to be in, because you don't want your kids being in fights if they're, having a fight. So, yes, I picked up that shoe and threw the shoe at her. And I'm sure I got in trouble because it happened in the gym and my dad was the PE teacher. So, let's be mindful to know the signs when your kid is being bullied and if your kid is a bully. So if your kid's a bully, somebody put this down. This is our bonus, how to tell if your kid's a bully. One, they are hanging around other bullies. Number two, they are in frequent fights. Number three, they end up being in the principal's office a lot. Like just catty, just in all that. Michelle said, picking up shoes, got that from a preacher's kid. Like, don't mess with me. I can't really fight, but I will use all of my armament around here to mess you up. So leave me alone. So thank you, David. I digress. So they hang with other bullies. They get in frequent fights. They in the principal's office all the time. Hey, Dr. Olici. So they're in the principal all the time. Hey, Gary. They're just all over the place. Because even if they're not physically fighting, they are out there being messy. See that? Look at you. Just picking. If I touch you, I'm going to pick, just hit you till you just finally be like, okay, please. And they can say, well, I didn't hear her. See, I didn't hear her, but you just ran my nerves in the ground. So make sure that you realize that your child could be a bully and embrace that idea and know that that is something that could be possible. So we said the three things. I thank you, David. You helped me with that. Hanging out with other bullies, frequent fights, multiple disciplinary issues, and just it's always something. It's always something. So what can you as a parent do to kind of make sure that your child isn't, one, being bullied, and isn't, two, being the bullier, if that's a word? I don't think that's a word. If it's the one that's doing the bullying. So we can make sure that we have talks with our children often, say, hey, Dr. Olici. So make sure that we know, hey, you can come to me. I'm a safe place. Yes, I'm your mom. Yes, I'm firm, but you can come to me with anything. And then also have that safe aunt or that safe friend that you're like, Well, if you're too scared to come to me, you can call Angelica, because Angelica gonna take care of you. Or you can call Michelle or whoever that is. Have a lifeline system. So when I see kids, I make sure that the kids have my a card of mine, my business card, and I'm like, look, this email on here. I know you're all over your social media and all over your electronic devices. So send me a message if you need anything. If you don't feel like you can talk to your mother, should be able to talk to your doctor, talk to your pastor. Parents, you may need to talk to the counselor, because a lot of times that may not be a situation where the child feels comfortable, because that's the setting that they're in every day. They don't want to cause any commotion or to be made out. You know, they're already being bullied. They're already being singled out. So when we do these things, if we go talk to the principal, if we go talk to the counselor, make sure we're doing it with the guys that this is with discretion. We don't want to call Johnny out, because Johnny is already being singled out. Michelle said Alex already wants to move in with you. Don't give her any excuses. Right. Michelle, Alex knows she got my number. If it's something that she don't want to tell Michelle, she knows she can call me. And she has. So, you know, it's like we take care of each other's babies. And yes, she can come stay with me whenever she wants to, Michelle. So make sure you have an obvious lifeline. And make sure that the kid knows that earlier than not. You know, that, hey, kids, make sure to talk to the pastor, your doctor, your teacher that you trust, your counselor, your principal. But there's also a number out there that you can call for being bullied. It is 1-800-273-TALK. And it's open 24/7. Hey, Katrina, it's open. It's available 24/7. So, you know, 1-800, somebody right there, please, thank you. 1-800-273-TALK. And that is the bullying hotline 24/7. So there's so many things out there. There's so many ways that kids can be bullied. It doesn't have to be in person. Now they're doing all of this cyberbullying on Snapchat, on Facebook, on Messenger. It's just so many ways that your child is being exposed. So as a parent, you have to be not necessarily a helicopter parent, but you can be kind of close to a helicopter parent. Make sure you know who their friends are. Make sure you know who they're texting. Make sure you evaluate what is a good age for them to have phones. Because I see kids younger and younger with cell phones. I'm like, they little. But there is this thing that Verizon has. It's called a gizmo. Have y'all heard of it? I think it's called a gizmo. It's a watch. It looks like an Apple Watch, and it tracks your child's location. So it gives you a message. You put in the parameters. Hey, Matt, you put in the parameters for the child, and say it sends you a message when the child gets to school. It sends you a message when the child gets off the bus. You can have it set up like that. I think it's called a gizmo because it's like $100. You heard of it, that joke? Okay, it's $100, but they're not getting all of that extra electronic time. They're not having to feel like they need to text all day. They're not feeling like they have to be on. Hey, Dr. Lakeisha. They're not feeling like they got to text all day. They're not feeling like they have to be on the phone. They're not being exposed to social media. Yeah, it does. It tracks your child's steps, but you also can put telephone numbers in there. You can put your grandmama phone number in there, the mama phone number, and the child, even this little boy I saw, he was like 4 years old, 5, and he recognized the grandmama picture, and he could text his grandmama or say, hey, mama, I made it home. So Tiffany says, yes, generally used for kids with special needs, but works well with kids in general. Okay, cool. But yes, and you don't have to tell, like my kid probably would not, it's $50. It's $50 y'all on Groupon, so go check that out if you got little kids. My kid would not do good with a watch. She'd be so distracted by that watch all day. But you can have that device and just drop it down in the bottom of their book bag so that it still kind of tracks them. Hey, Marquita. Thanks for joining. So hopefully this has been a valuable lesson. I have been so saddened by the Kanika Jenkins story, the girl that was found in the freezer in Chicago at the hotel, and it just made my heart go out for teenagers. I can't imagine. There's so many things that we could not do that kids have at their disposal. My thing was, if Lynetta Cleveland wasn't going, and Miss Cleveland didn't say that Lynetta could go, I couldn't go. And that was that was it, you know. So my mom had these 2 or 3 people that she knew that if they were going, it must have been okay. Hey, Dr. Jared. So, yes. So, I think that we just need to remember that, yes, your child could be bullied. We're going to review them for people that came on late. If they're having issues with sleeping, unexplained injuries, they're losing items that are of importance to them. That's the word I'm looking for. So their iPad, their iPhone, their watches, all of that. So they're losing items. They're feeling sick or fake sick in the morning. They just can't deal with it. They don't want to go to school. And then 5, they're being more withdrawn, or their self-esteem is a little bit lower. Michelle said kids with iPhones, you can put a track on their phones too. Okay, so good. You got that, especially. So this watch thing is mainly for little kids. I think maybe probably like 10 years old or less. I would think that this would be a good device for them. So you said your son's 10, Marquita. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yes, spending the lunch money. They will take the lunch money. And then remember, our bonus tonight was, don't be deceived. Your child could be the bully. If they are, 1, hanging out with other bullies, getting in frequent fights at the principal's office all the time. And remember, the number for bullying is 1-800-273-TALK. So make sure that your kids know that, and that way, if they don't feel like they can come to you, they can come to their doctor, they can't come to their pastor, their counselor, their teacher. They do have a place where it's a stranger. They like, this person is gonna help you out. So are there any questions before we finish our show tonight? Next week, we're going to talk about chronic pain medicines and the opiate epidemic that's going on in the world. So, any questions? Well, you know who I am. I'm Dr. Kre. I'm a board-certified family medicine physician, and I specialize in what's important to you. Through my practical tips and my education, I help you live a healthier life, become a better you. So when you know better, we need to do better. So it's my goal to help you to learn, to know better, so we can do better, we can live longer, we can live healthier, and we can just have a good time. Gary, Matt bullied you when you was young. Anyway, follow me on Dr. Kre on Facebook at Dr. Kre. That's DOCTORKRE. Again, on Facebook at Dr. Kre, DOCTORKRE. Thank you. I will see you next Monday at 7 o'clock. Invite a friend. Peace to the people.